Do you know the name of my podcast?
Yes and no.
What is it? And this is being recorded.
It's like Dumb or Broke or something.
No.
You didn't tell me, so I only know because...
Welcome to Young or Dumb. We have a new guest this week.
Like, do I like wave hello?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, say your name. How about let's start there?
Okay. Hello, my name is Nahom.
Nahom, and what do you do?
I'm a software developer. I work in tech.
Perfect.
I write code and all that fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome to Young or Dumb. My name's Marianna, and I'm interested in learning a variety of topics. But the thing is, I'm not much of a reader. Join me as I interview a mix of people in different careers or topics to see if I'm just new to adulting and haven't learned this stuff yet, or if I should have known this information already. What are your job responsibilities?
So basically, my job responsibilities are building the product that our customers would use, making sure it's of, good quality. There's no broken things in there, no bugs or anything of that sort. And also all of the communications that happen in between, that's outside of just building product. Meetings and all that non-fun stuff is in there too.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What job requirements did you need to get your job?
So for me, my path, I went through college and I interned with my company before working for them. So the only requirements getting into the internship were taking the relevant classes, being in computer science, which was my major, and generally, of course, passing those interviews. But the biggest thing was being able to work with others, and problem-solving skills, the softer skills. So
your degree's in computer science?
Yes.
And then you had your internship?
Yep.
At what year while you were in school?
So I had it during my junior year and senior year because they had a program at my school. So I joined that program. But I also did the 2019 summer internship at the company. So 2019. And summer.
2019.
Yep.
Crazy.
Wild times.
Crazy. Okay, so then you graduated. Did you already have the job or did you have to interview for your job?
I already had the job. Me and my internship cohort. Unless you did something, obviously wrong and, blew up some things or any of that sort.
Yeah.
If they like you, you get a return offer, which I did. So.
Could you say no?
Yeah, of course. You're not obligated to take the job.
Well, I feel like with some internships, it could be like you do the internship and then you have to go to their company after it's over. So it's not one of those.
Maybe. I just haven't come across that, but
yeah.
This is also not one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you like it?
Yeah, I do. I've liked it enough to stay, so.
I guess that's true. Well, you probably make really good money, so, that is also, an incentive to stay.
It is. I'm able to, afford my living situation.
Yeah, guys,
without...
he's in Chicago, so you know.
Ooh, the city. Jokes aside though,
anything like IT.
Yeah.
Technology, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you look at, the median household income is that the average or something. It is higher above that, which is definitely something that drew me into the major and the whole industry is
you want to be rich.
Job security more so.
Oh, not being both.
Rich comes after it, but first,
okay.
It's nice to not starve or
yeah.
about that. So
I agree.
Those are basic points. So.
Okay.
No, but yeah. So no, it does pay well.
Okay.
And this is not the same for everybody in the field, but for me, I like the flexibility that I have too. So
what flexibility?
So my PTO offer is pretty big. Just recently, I was able to go back and visit my home country for 5 weeks. Granted, it took up almost my entire year's worth of PTO. So now I have like 2 days that I'm like, all right. Not really 2 days, it's 5. So
wait. When does it start? Is it January to January?
Yeah, so it's like January to
You have
December.
5 days left out of 6 months.
Yeah, because I used all of them at once, which
But
I'm
you
able
have
to
like
do.
over like a month off.
Yeah, once you accumulate all those. Plus, though, I'm able to push up like a certain portion of it into the next year that I don't use, which I had some saved from last year, so like that into it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But even without that, though, it's like comparatively speaking, with
I get 10.
other roles, like other jobs for sure, even other companies, like it's not a lot. So like that's a big impact on it. Which, if you travel internationally, is like essential.
I do it all the time. Yeah, I'm
all
just
the time.
international all the time.
All the time. Once a year. But.
Okay, so if you didn't have your internship at your job, what are the job requirements?
Like
if I wanted to apply, I'm for sure qualified.
Definitely. Just here's a link. We need workers. So. We need people. Apply.
But what makes you qualified?
Without going into like specific bullet points, because at that point, like I would have to look up the job requirement.
Well, yeah.
But just generally, being in like a computer science major helps, because it shows that you know the basics. You're not starting from scratch. There are a couple of rounds of interviews that you have to do. So
how many?
So since I went through the internship, I didn't like have to go through those, but my colleagues say I believe there was like 3 that you got to do. But that was also for the internship too, because that means that you get the chance to apply with like 3 different managers. That's why you have 3 different interviews. And if for the internship for the summer one, if you were to be liked by 2 out of those 3, then you have an option of picking which manager that might be in completely different areas that you want to work with. If you get 1, obviously you're going to take your chance, but if you get more than 1, then you get flexibility and choice in like what area of the company that you want to go to. Yeah, like if you're good enough to like impress all of them, then you get to pick. But if you apply just for a like 1 job role, excluding internships from it, then in that case, so I work in front end mostly, and some back end. So
what is front end?
Front end is when you open up your computer, your phone, whatever, your laptop, whatever you see, that's front end. So front end is customer facing. So if you use, Facebook, you go to facebook.com and you see all that blue everywhere and people's names in different places. That's the front end side of things. Yeah. So all that would be in the front end category. Okay. And then back end would be everything that handles anytime you click or process anything. So you go to your bank's mobile banking app and you pick a name and you say send that person $2. The front end is you typing $2 and clicking send and the buttons you see, and the back end is doing all that calculation, like the money moving. Yeah, like do you have $2 in your bank accounts to send? Gotta check that.
Sometimes, yeah.
True. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything that the customer would not like necessarily care about if it was done in a different way, as long as the end result is the same, can be done in the back end. So
when you interviewed, did you get to choose where you wanted to go?
Kind of.
Did they tell you the options like in the interview?
See, the thing is, like, my path was fairly different from like the regular path that you gotta go to. The program that I was in at school, kind of like by going through that, and it was basically like an extended internship. It could even be qualified as like job training even. So because I went through that, I didn't need to go through the traditional route of apply and potentially get rejected. Like I worked with them, Like I did the official internship in the summer.
Yeah.
So with all of that, like I knew the people and the department that I was going to be working with. So then it was kind of a like welcome back and get started for me.
So were you doing front end stuff the whole time?
It started out heavily on the front end side because it was like something. It was an area that I was more comfortable with. You know, like something I knew how to do instead of learning a lot of things about the new stuff.
Yeah.
But then eventually, after some reorganizing and all that, the role became more of a full stack, which just basically means both front end and back end. And then at that point, it was like as you work on different projects, different products, and all that, you do more of the back end side of things too.
Which one do you prefer?
Front end. I'm a visual person, and I like fixing things that I can see instead of some process all over the place. I'm like, that's annoying. Like,
yeah, I get you.
You know, if a box is like 2 pixels too small, you can be like, oh, it is. So I'm gonna make it 2 pixels bigger. Like, super basic example, yeah. But things like that versus like, why isn't this number being calculated the way that it is? I'm like, and of course, there's ways to learn and figure all that out. But preference-wise, I prefer front end.
Yeah. So what languages do you know? What computer languages do you know?
So English, no. So for front end, it's mainly JavaScript, and then for back end, it's Java. Similar name, very different things.
Yes. I actually knew that.
Yeah. You were.
I took computer science.
Wow. Yeah. So JavaScript, and then there's like frameworks that go on top of that, which kind of just like complicates things a little bit more. But so JavaScript with this thing called React, which is just kind of like a layer on top of that. That's mainly used for front end, and then there's like GraphQL and all that kind of stuff, but that's adding bricks and bricks on top of that. But generally speaking, React and JavaScript.
Did you learn both of those in school, or did you have to learn them on the job?
Learn them on the job.
For real? What languages did you learn in school?
I learned C++ in school, which is
I know that one.
For NIU. The main thing that you learn.
Yeah, I still remember that one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're all fairly similar enough that if you know one, it's not hard to jump onto the others, because you're just, some things might be called different words, and there might be requirements in one that you don't need to follow in another. One example is for variables. In C++, you need to say what kind of variable, if you have
an integer, a double.
Oh, come on, keep going.
Oh
keep
my
going.
God, that's like
There's more.
Character.
There's more.
Character, a string. Oh my God.
Dude, you're good. So with C++, you got to declare those first.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's going to yell at you and nothing's going to work. In JavaScript, you get more leniency in that. You can just say, like, one of the keywords is let, like let. So you can say let x equal, name, like in quotes to make it a string, then now it's recognized as a string. But you can just right after that say x equals a number now, and now it's going to have a number that you can do math with.
Yeah.
And it's not going to yell at you like C++.
So what are you actually making?
What am I actually making?
Yeah.
So the product that me and my team is responsible for is it's more of a like internal application. So the way that like my company is structured, we're on the IT side of things, or
your technology. What the heck?
The technology side of things, and then there's the business side of things.
Okay.
And we have the company as a whole has customers, and we have people who service those customers, and so our customers are like those agents that are working with said customers. So while my product is not necessarily going to be facing, like just people outside of the company, it's what the people inside the company are using to work with people outside the company.
Okay. So is it like on the app or is it the website?
Or
both?
Neither.
Neither.
It's more website than not.
If it's not an app and it's not a website.
Yeah, so when I say like it's an internal thing, like you as Marianna can't just access it.
Yeah.
Because
it's like a software for the employees?
Yeah.
That's like a website.
No, it is like a website, but it's not a website. It's different.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
No, because so it's more
No, I get what you're saying. I just don't want to admit you're right.
Okay, so thank you for admitting that I'm right. I appreciate it. Roundabout way.
Keep describing it. Keep describing it.
No, you said I'm right, so we're good.
But I still want you to describe it. So it's a software that your company is using, your employee companies are using.
Yeah. So for example, let's say you are a customer of Verizon, right?
I am.
Are you? Wow.
Yeah.
Good guess. Me too. So you can go to like Verizon.com and like my account and all of that.
Yeah. And
do things yourself as a customer of Verizon.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you can call and say, hey, can I pay my bill? Blah, blah, blah. Can you tell me how much I owe, et cetera, et cetera. Like, my phone was stolen, so can you cut off that line? Blah, blah, blah. There's all these things you could do, right?
Yeah.
So the person picking up your call, who's going to be doing all those things, they're also going to be using a product.
Yeah.
So what I'm working is basically what that person is using.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you work with the back team a lot? Or do they
kind of do both now? Are you talking about like the back and front end thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So to separate those two, it's kind of saying like, to answer your question, yes. Because we can get into like other stuff like APIs, which an API is basically something somebody wrote that does a thing. Super basic, right? And instead of you having to do all those things, you can just give it data and it's going to send data back and it's going to do all those things for you. So we have our own APIs, internal stuff that we built to handle stuff like payments, like you said, right? Or like getting those accounts and stuff. So getting to go on with that like Verizon example, when you like load your account, when you call in and say I'm so and so and this is my phone number or however they verify that, they're gonna have your details like on their screen, like whoever you're talking to on the phone, right? So whatever they're seeing on their screen, that's the front end. Since they are the customer, like you're the company customer, but like for this product, they're the user of the product.
Yeah.
So whatever they see on their computer screen, whenever you call, like your name populating and all that, and like whether your name is in green or is in red or is in purple, or is it just regular black, whatever. All of that, that's like the front end stuff. When they do, getting all of that data and like matching it with your phone and populating that data and making sure it's your name and not like your mom's name on there, or there's some random person's name with your phone number with somebody else's picture, blah blah. Like all of that data being gathered and being presented to the front end is happening in the back end. So for our product, I do work with both now. But yeah, so I do work with both those questions.
So do you design it then?
There's another team that handles that, just because of like the size of the company. Like there's a lot of things that are like fragmented. Yeah. But if you were to
like another like coding team, like another like
no, like a dedicated like design,
and then they just tell you what to do.
Yeah. Okay. Like we have like conversations back and forth when needed, but like let's say you're on the design team, like you don't have to worry about how to code the thing. You just gotta say I want it to look like this, I want it to be purple, and then when I click a button, I want it to change to green.
Yeah.
When I click this drop down, like 5 items are gonna show up, and then if it's more than 5, like I want it to be scrolling up, so then I don't like fill the whole screen.
Yeah.
I want this to be over here, that to be over there. All those requirements. There's gonna be a dedicated design team that does that.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be working with like maybe the company customers or like the business side of things of saying, hey, there's this thing's being very popular, we want to do that too, or what if we start our own thing? Any of that conversation, like the design team can handle all of that, so that my team, which is like the product team, the product building team, doesn't have to
also
do that along with building, along with, you know, like if you're gonna build a house, you know, you gotta have your architecture or your architect, is that the word? Your architect like have a map of the house, and like somebody's gonna make sure you know you got all the clearing to work there, and then there's gonna be the people in construction who like frame it, and then walls, blah blah blah.
That's a good analysis.
But like, you're not gonna have your construction team also like draw the blueprints for the building. No. You can, but most likely you're gonna have like different groups that do that. So the design team is kind of the one like having the blueprint.
So then you're doing what they tell you.
Yeah.
So is that hard, or is it kind of like repetitive?
Neither. I mean, it could be both, but like.
Well, because like if they just ask you to like change the color.
Yeah.
Then you just change the color.
Yeah.
Like
so
that's
like,
just like
that
one line.
It'll be easy. Yeah. So like, is it hard to build what they're asking for? It can be. More so than it's not or it is. Like some things you can, you know, draw like really well, but then if you have to actually put it together, there's like some rules you gotta follow.
From like scratch?
Not always. For me, it wasn't from scratch because I came into a project that was like already well underway. So I didn't have to do anything from scratch. But the people that started that project did have to do things from scratch. So at that point, you got to be a really good planner because you got to plan for like scaling, like if it behaves well with just 5 people looking at it, cool. But then when 5,000 people look at it, when 5 million people look at it at one time, how's it going to behave in that sense, you know?
How do you test that stuff?
You can automate it. There's ways to do that, like automatically.
To see if it works for like 5,000 people looking at it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so like those things you can automate, which automation is like a big thing because if you can do things automatically, then you spend less time having somebody do it, you know, manually. That's another thing about working in tech is like you have a lot of motivators to do things certain ways, you can say, like you know, you can take like 20 years to build the most perfect car, but if you have like a demand of we have to sell cars, you know, next year, then you gotta put out a car to sell. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gotta exist.
But it should drive you.
Yeah, exactly. So like first you're gonna make something that drives you, and then eventually you're gonna make something that has a passenger seat because, you know, you have friends now. And then eventually you're gonna need like something like a van that can seat more people because your 2-seater is not gonna work no more.
Yeah, because now you have
you have more friends. Or that.
We're different spots. But that's
either or, you know, like the more the merrier. You know, your friends' families.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
But then, like, at the end of the day, somebody's got to go and build that, and you got to pay them, hopefully.
Yeah,
you know,
they need to build better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But
okay.
A lot of things that go in that.
So, you work on a team.
I do.
Are you constantly talking to your team? Are you working on these things together? How does that work?
A mix of both. Not, like, constantly. You're not holding hands and like skipping through the fields together or nothing. Like,
you hate each other.
Nah, love those people.
So then you are holding hands.
Oh, we don't like holding hands.
Okay, so you're skipping next to each other, but not holding
separately.
hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, like since I work with a team, like you cannot do everything yourself. Like you can do that on your small personal project that's gonna take you a while to finish. But if somebody else did that part for you, then it's gonna be finished in half the time, stuff like that. And there is a level of like personal responsibility that you gotta take. If you say, we got a car to build, so I'll make a tire and you make an engine, then you have a tire and an engine done, and somebody else can make the body of the car, right? And in that way, like you need to communicate because you don't want to make mismatched parts, but at the same time, like you don't need somebody else doing a different part of the thing, telling you telling you how to do what you're doing, or if you want, you can ask for help. It's collaborative, it's the team. But at least the way that we work, we use a way of a framework called Agile. Pretty well used in like the tech industry. Basically, that just means like continuous improvement, continuous iteration. So rather than taking 4 years to build that one car, you build a car that has 4 wheels and can get you from point A to point B this time. And then
with your
once
friends
you have
or family,
and then next up you include seats, like we said, so that you can have friends in your car. And then eventually you can build like a better gas engine for it, so that you don't spend all your money on these gas prices. Ridiculous. So
you get like assigned
so
one
you can
thing. So like you get assigned to make this button red, and then someone else gets assigned to add a drop down. So can you work in like the software at the same time, constantly making changes, or can like one, like how does that work so you don't override each other?
So there's this wonderful product called Git, and then there's a website called GitHub that works with that. And it's a collaboration tool. You can edit. You can't quite edit the same file, let's say, but your program has like a lot of files in it, right? So if you work on page 1, I can work on page 2, somebody else can work on page 3, and together we can have a book. And we're all collaborating, but we're not just like stepping on each other's feet. You got to take steps to, like you got to communicate and say, hey, I'm making changes to my button, don't work on the button, you work on your drop down. But together they're all going to be one program, and you make your changes, they make their changes, somebody else can make their changes, and then you essentially, like I would get a copy of the whole page, and then I would only edit the button. You get a copy of the whole page, but you only edit the drop down. Your version is going to look like the original plus your changes. Mine is going to look like the original but like my changes. And then together when they come together, you have your changes, I have my changes, my button, your drop down. And now the website has 2 new sparkly components that are brand new, that wasn't there before, or that are different now. It's red instead of green now. So
So how often do you communicate with them? Like, do you have to constantly tell them, oh, I'm working on this, like don't touch it, or do you kind of all just know what you have to do?
So going back to Agile, there's different meetings, call them like ceremonies, fun words for meetings. Like at the end of the day, it's all meetings, or you're not meeting, right? But every day we have these meetings called stand-ups. You say, basically, I worked on XYZ yesterday, I'm gonna work on ABC today. There's a thing called stories, and that's basically your tasks that you're responsible for during that period in time, which is called a sprint. So it'll be, for us, it's a 2-week long endeavor. And so I'm responsible for item A, item B, item C, the sprint. On my team, you are responsible for item X, item Y, item Z. In that 2 weeks space of time, I have to basically complete what I said I was going to complete. So that's how like you're assigning work, and that's how you're being an individual working on your own things, but also you're coming together like with the whole team to build the overall product. So it's kind of like a quick status update of how your stories, which are what your tasks that you're supposed to accomplish by the end of that increment in time, that sprint.
So what happens if you don't get it done?
It depends. If
Have
it's
you have you not gotten it done before?
Yeah, of course. It's a learning process.
Yikes.
We grow, we improve. Nobody's perfect. Okay.
MIT.
No, it's a might. It's not. No. But like that depends on what the reasons for you not completing your expected tasks are.
What happens if you finish the stuff early? Do you just not have to go into work those days? Like
no, you can.
You just help other people?
That comes down to like A, your personality, and two, like what you want to do. If you want to be a slacker and say like we're gonna build this by tomorrow, but I did it this morning, like I'm gonna work on some other stuff and like improve. I mean, improving yourself is not slacking, but like if you want to slack and like you're in those situations, like you can, as long as you're doing your work, you're gonna be okay.
So they don't like monitor you?
Me personally, no. Like my area specifically, no. Of course, you can be in situations where, like, I know there's tools out there that can monitor like what you're doing on your laptop. Yeah. So
I have that.
Yeah. So if you happen to be in a company that like really monitors you and like micromanages, then in that case, if you finish early, of course you're gonna do other work and like keep building off of that. Or you're gonna take initiative to do that. But like if you're being micromanaged in that way, then like you're gonna want to keep typing on your keyboard, because when you're not, there's gonna be a program that says like this keyboard has not been touched in the past hour, and your manager is gonna get a notification and they say, hey, like why aren't you online, and like you can get in trouble. But thankfully I don't work for that, because that would be toxic and I would hate that.
Would you work at a company that did that to you?
No, I would quit.
No, I have that, but they say it's not like tracking how often we're working, like, and like letting people know. It's supposed to see how much we're working in the systems and how long it takes us to do things.
If you want to get like really like draconian with it and like really like particular and micromanage, like there's tools out there for that. And as an employee, you can say, like, I don't want to work like this and I'll quit. Or you can be like, I'm gonna get evicted if I don't pay next month's rent, so I just gotta keep up with this, and like 5 more, or not 5 more, but like 1 more year, I'll have the experience I need to get a better job. Like whatever your situation might be, you're gonna make the best choice for you. But you can do like anything with technology, which is great, but also like scary, because being tracked everywhere.
That's crazy. I'm gonna think that my work is doing what they're saying they're doing. Yeah,
of course you can read all those tiny fine prints on what they're allowed to do, and most of it is gonna say, we're your company and we can do anything. If you don't want to work here, quit. So you can take that and quit, or keep working and say they're good people, I trust them.
Because I got my mortgage next month. I'm one of those for right now.
See, it's the thing I like about renting is flexibility, although your money goes somewhere else that you're never going to see.
I could miss a mortgage and be okay. Like one. Yeah. That's it. Anyways, we're not going to talk about losing jobs.
Let's go back to where were we? We do, yes. They're nice.
Okay. How many emails would you say you get a day?
Personally, I work... So we use like the Microsoft suite, so Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and all that. So a lot of my communication happens through Teams, so like chats, basically. Emails are more for either outside of like my team or my department, or more like notification kind of things, hey, we're doing this and this and this, like just to let you know, or these things are happening. So like the more in my area, emails are more of the like the formal communications. A lot of like the day-to-day happens in like chats, so I'll see who's responsible for this and be like, hey, why is this behaving this way? It says you wrote this code, so why? They can be like, oh, it's supposed to be that way and that way. It's like, oh, okay, so I gotta change what I'm doing, or you did something wrong. So like, no, it's like wrong per se, but like you did it in this way, and it's not behaving the way that we wanted to. Yeah. So like in those cases, a lot of like Teams chat. So like basically group chats, just like essentially text messages, just on Microsoft Teams. A lot more of those communications than actual emails, and if needed, voice calls or video calls, because then you can like share your screen and do all that.
Would you say you're on a lot of those, like with your team? Like Teams calls, just sharing, trying to like figure out why things aren't working the correct way?
Sporadically, not like consistently. So we have those meetings, like I said. So the morning meeting for stand-ups where you say status, and then we have this meeting called refinement, which is you go through the list of stories, so the like list of things to be done to build those products, and you go through and like refine those, which refinement. You kind of like put what details need to be in there, like what's the acceptance criteria, which is like these 5 items got to be done for this to be considered done. Outside of that, if you want to work with someone, so like you're doing your drop down and I'm building my button, but we have like maybe you need help with it or I need help with something, like I want your help on it, then we can get like on a call and like work the problem out together. So in that sense, you can work together.
You don't do that a lot?
I do it like sometimes, like if it's something that I don't understand, or sometimes you just need a second pair of eyes, or even maybe a third pair of eyes and things, to realize that it turned out to be a simple misspelling somewhere that you didn't catch. They spent the whole day on. Happened to me. And like, to be fair, it wasn't my fault.
I'm sure it wasn't. Absolutely not.
But I was responsible for the downstream effects that it had, so I was like looking at it. But anyway, so there's all those, right? So in those cases, you work together with other people, make all that happen.
Do you like how much you have to communicate with other people? Do you think there's certain personalities
I like the balance.
that
There's
are better
definitely
at this job than others?
at this job, I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, of course. For every job, there's better personalities than others. Like blanket statement wise, but of course, there's like, depending on who you are, there's better personalities that you're gonna work well with than others.
What's your favorite part
Of
your job?
clocking off, baby. Payday.
That one was no better than your first answer.
Every second Friday. That's the one. No, but like, I like building products. So my favorite part is, I think like everybody who's in tech or who does coding will probably answer similarly, is like, it's amazing when you build something and it works. Like, it's basically what got me into tech, aside from job stability and all that. Is like, you built something, it didn't exist before, and now it does, and it works the way that you want it to, and people are using it, and like blah blah blah. Yay, thumbs up. On the other hand, you could be butting your head against a very simple or maybe very complicated issue, and like it's just not working, and you get frustrated. So like, I don't like that.
What's
So
like
like
the
when
longest time you've struggled working on a task?
couple of days, but that was more before, like, I wasn't asking for help as quickly. And that's one of those things where, as you grow and mature at any job, really, you can be the type of person who's gonna say, like, how do I turn on the tap? Like, where do I put the cup to get water? Like, you're gonna ask those very specific questions, or it's like, how do I turn this fire hydrant off? Because like, I tried it, it keeps going, and like, I need help because things are broken now. Like, you could be on like the opposite ends of that spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, like, especially this job being my first job and like starting at college and like also having the personality of I want to fix things myself kind of person, I spent, especially early on, like I spent more time trying to figure things out than less and then going to ask for somebody's help, compared to like nowadays. It might be like a shorter time span, like in between those things. So like the longest I think that I've had was a couple of days. Recently, the longest one was like 2 days, I think it was. And it's that dumb thing that I mentioned earlier.
Spelling.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say, English is not my first language.
I can't use that excuse. It is mine.
So
And I still suck at spelling.
it's
But
I think it was like principal or like presentation. No, I think how like there's principal and then there's principal, like the teacher, and then there's like the interest in principal, blah blah blah. And there's like one of them spelled with an A and the other one spelled with an E.
sure.
It was like something. Oh no, the word I remember, it was precision, and I misspelled precision, and I was like, it can't be. And then it turned out like literally an E was supposed to be an A or something dumb like that.
PR.
I think it was like precision or No, I think I put like precision.
I don't know. Either
Anyway,
way,
dumb mistakes.
That was not for me because I can't spell.
Caused a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say, English is not my first language, so.
I'm gonna start saying that too.
No, you can.
And
You're
just,
born here.
Just hopefully no one asks me what my first language is.
What's your first language? What's your first language, Marianna?
Yikes. Anyways, okay. What's an uncommon fact
That's a very broad question.
in software developing?
I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that question. So next question.
I sent you the questions beforehand.
I missed that one.
I would say that
Um,
an uncommon fact is that it could be anything.
that's why it's hard to answer though, because like
Well, it
something I don't know,
yeah.
and I won't think of it because I don't know it, or
Well,
maybe
just
it's
say
something you don't know
anything, then.
that I know.
Just say anything.
Uncommon fact. We're talking like specifically like in coding and like
And
tech in general.
In tech in general.
If you don't know, you don't have to have a college degree to get in the field. So, I guess that.
Yeah.
Sure. There you go.
So you didn't need a bachelor's degree for your position? Are there like certificates
No.
you can get? You have to have some kind of background in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just not
No, like
necessarily
I could
bachelor's.
have done like a certificate, and that would have counted. Like, experience matters more. So, if I never went to college, but then I learned by myself, like self-taught, I build a product, like I build an app, and it's great, and everybody loves it. Like, nobody's gonna say, "Yeah, where's your degree?" before they hire me, because they know I built this thing.
Yeah.
And like the product itself shows that I'm knowledgeable of the material.
Yeah.
So for those kind of reasons, like, of course you need something that shows that you know what you're doing. Like, that's why a college degree is helpful, because you went to those classes, you graduated, you passed, you learned, hopefully. like you say you learned and then you learn more.
Yeah.
But you know enough,
just,
right?
Like cheated your way through it, but yeah, you learned.
Either way, though, like
yeah,
you know more than the person who did not take that degree and also did not learn by themselves.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good one. See, it wasn't even that hard.
But is it uncommon though?
I think so.
All right, thank you.
I actually kind of didn't know that, but
yes. No, you didn't.
It's uncommon.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone looking to get into software developing?
Piggybacking off what I just said, like personal projects, big help. So, like for me, for example, tutorials are not a good way of learning because personally I like to use what I'm learning, and then that way I'll actually hold on to that knowledge. If I watch a 30-minute, an hour, 2-hour video on what Java is and all those things, and I don't use it for the next 6 months, I'm gonna forget it and I'm not gonna learn it. And also doing a tutorial does not show that you know the material either, so it's not gonna be like, hey, I watched that video, so hire me. Not gonna work. So like, whereas if you do a project, like a personal project, it can be a small, make a calculator app, or you can make a to-do list for yourself, or you can make a game, whatever it might be that you're interested in field-wise. Do that, and then that's gonna
outside. You have any outside work projects
going on right now?
Yeah,
no,
or ever.
But I want to. I want to make this. There's probably like a bunch of apps that do the same thing anyway, but I want to build it from you, right? I want to build, for example, a application that's gonna take my entire Spotify catalog, for example, like my liked playlist, and kind of divide that up into playlists that vibe with each other,
like based off genres,
stuff like that. It could be off genres, it could be off of I've heard that if you work with Spotify's API, you get like a lot more data off of each song. So for example, if it has a data point that says danceability, you can get all the ones that have the same tag that's like, this is exciting and danceable. Yeah. And you can make those together, because I don't have the attention span to be going through my playlist and making those playlists. I just recently started doing that. It's horrible. You can look at like my Spotify playlist. Every single playlist is gonna have like an average of like 4 or 5 songs. Because I'm gonna get into it, right? I'm gonna be like, dude, like this is good. Like I'm feeling it. Start a new playlist. I'm gonna add another song. I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna forget about it. It's gonna be 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh yeah. Now it's like, am I gonna take the time to sit down and pay attention and see the whole song and be like, yep, this fits, and push it?
It's too much. When you make that, let me know. Yeah. Because I need it too. So
that's something I want, but I'd be staring at a computer screen for like my job during the whole day. So then after work, I'm like, I'm gonna do something else. So then it kind of like, personally, I took a backseat. But the other thing is like, I heard a lot, at least in college, during school, saying like, oh my god, like computer science is so hard. Like, it's not. It's really just a matter of if you have like problem solving skills, then you'll be okay. Like if you're able to come up with solutions on how to get from A to B, there's a lot of resources that are gonna be that you can use as like fillers for what you lack in knowledge. That you don't have to like learn everything before you start that step, right? So
I think that was my favorite part of it.
Yeah, like the building, the problem solving. It's a good part. It's great when things are solved, and then when things aren't, it's like
frustrating. Yeah.
Annoying. Frustrating. Yeah.
I have one last thing.
All right.
Trivia.
Boy.
I have 197 software trivia questions.
Damn.
Ready? You're doing.
I answered like 3 times.
You're doing all 197.
Pick 3.
It's easiest to hardest.
Okay.
So we'll do 3. This is the first one. This is the easiest.
Okay.
A coder who can develop both client-side and server-side software is also now known as a full blank developer.
Pass. Just kidding. Stack? Is it full stack?
Oh, yeah. I thought you actually didn't know it.
No, you're good.
Okay, what's the middle? What is half of 197?
What?
That's not a question. That doesn't count as one of the 3, but just say what is...
Half of 197?
Yeah.
That's, boy, let me do math. That's 200, like 1... No, it's not 1. It's, 98?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, look at you.
Dude, I forgot how to do math, okay?
Right.
I was like, okay, so 200 divided by 2, but like 3 less. Are we kind of fraction? No.
Okay, ready? Here's question 98.
Okay.
The SWORD, SWORD capital.
Oh, hell no. Skip.
Project.
Skip. Finish your question. I know it's about to be some security.
The SWORD
some security shit. And I know it's not for me.
Listen. The SWORD project is an open source project designed to encourage development of software related to what ancient religious text? Is easy.
Is this
an ancient religious text?
The Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you have known that if I didn't say that?
If you didn't say ancient text and emphasize ancient religious text?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I would have. Because that's like a very specific question about a topic that you may or may not know. Like, do you know what's happening in Louisiana right now? You don't. Exactly. It's like, you could know, but it's not like something you need to know, right?
No, this isn't fun. You're not getting any of these wrong.
Dude.
Here we go.
Okay. Are you about to go to the hardest question?
This isn't the hardest. This is question 92.
Second to the hardest.
Software developers at Disney created Hyperion, a program to... We're not doing that one. I can't say that word.
Hyperion.
Yeah. Okay, question 197, the hardest question.
Boy.
What are ransomware?
Oh, ransomware?
Yeah.
That's easy.
Can you let me finish the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Known for targeting large public entity Microsoft systems, may install itself by way of TrickBot Trojan malware.
That's the answer you were reading, isn't it?
No, that's the question.
Wait, can I see the question?
No, because then you're going to see...
Oh, is it right? Okay, can you
Don't
say it
slide.
again? Can you
Don't slide up.
What are... I thought you were saying what is, what are, kind of are.
No, like what are word.
Known for charging word. May install itself by way of the TrickBot Trojan malware. Yeah, I don't know this answer because it's a very like... Who ran the system in like 1997 at that house? Like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I don't. But I know what a malware is. Yes, I would know how to answer that.
Say it.
That's Ryuk.
Ryuk? The answer was Ryuk, everyone.
Ryuk.
He did not know the hardest question.
What's the name of that guy in that one anime? The apples and the suicidal dude. Not suicidal. Homicidal. Death Note. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways,
Basically,
that's all I have.
Yeah. You literally went to like the hardest question and like, okay.
Do you want to lead off on a high note? Do you want me to read an easy one so you can?
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's good. It's good.
It's okay. It's okay. Here we go.
I answered 2 out of 3, so I think that's like a high note.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I want to be able to know one of them.
All right.
No, we're just done. Do you have anything else you want to say before we stop?
Thank you, Marianna, for this opportunity to be on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Of course, this was fun. I learned a lot. Of course.
But yeah.
Welsh software engineer Josh Wardle was paid in the low 7 figures by the New York Times in January 2022 for what widely popular...
Wordle.
There you go. You left off on a high note.
Right.
Here we go.
You're just gonna...
What is the programming language developed by James Gosling at Sun Microsystems and named after the type of coffee from Indonesia?
Java.
Yeah.
So good. Let's keep going.
Ready? In 1990...
You got me half time now. All right. What's next?
In 1999, Shigetika Kurita, I'm so sorry, invented what keyboard additions for cell phones that would eventually replace emoticons and even get their own movie?
Emoji.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't know this?
I mean, when you started with like that dude's name, I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know who that is.
I don't know if I said it correctly.
If you asked me who came up with the like emojis, I would not have answered that question because I don't know.
They gave me too much information.
And then you said movie, I was like, okay.
yeah, emoji. You're right.
Yeah.
What free program in the Google Docs editor suite corresponds to Excel in Microsoft Office?
Oh, the Google version of Excel?
Yeah.
Google Sheets?
Yeah.
All right.
The mobile app development company.
You're just gonna
We'll be done because my laptop's about to die.
It's gonna die before you finish it.
I know. Okay, real quick, say goodbye. Just kidding. Thank you for being a guest.
Of course.
This was fun. I hope you guys all learned something.
I did. I know who came up with Bitmojis. I mean, emojis now.
Yeah, here, you can see the name.
What is it?
And then you can try to pronounce it.
I feel like I'm gonna do a better job of it.
You might.
I might. It's too much anime. Shigetaka? Yeah,
that's what
Shigetaka?
I said. Right?
Kurita?
Is that what I said?
We'll see.
We'll
see. It's in the video. We'll see. So.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Young or Dumb. I hope you enjoyed the subject and learned something new. Stick around and listen to another episode after you subscribe. And remember, be happy and be chill.